Assalamualaikum and a very good day to Madam Hazaria and all those who are watching this video. This is a video made for the presentation of PAD390 Development Administration. We are from Group 2, AM1104A. Before we start, I would like to introduce the members of Group 2. The first one is Ahmad Haikal bin Ahmad Shukri. The second is Nur Batrisha Nadia binti Amir Akmal. The third one is Nur Alia binti Nozairi. The fourth is Saidah Akila binti Hasran. And lastly is Emiliana Tasha Anak Lawrence. Hope you will enjoy our presentation.
The presentation will start with the introduction to the Federal Land Development Authority, or well known as Felda, in Malaysia's rural economic development. So firstly, Felda was actually established on the 1st of July 1956 under the Land Development Ordinance 1956. It was created as one of Malaysia's important rural development agencies to address rural poverty, especially among landless farmers and low-income communities. During that period, many rural communities actually faced limited access to land, employment opportunities and basic facilities. Therefore, Felda was introduced to provide land ownership, create employment opportunities and improve the socio-economic conditions of rural communities. Felda also focused on land development, settlement schemes and agricultural growth, particularly through the cultivation of rubber and oil palm. Besides providing agricultural land, Felda also supported settlers through infrastructure development, housing, education, healthcare facilities and assistance in marketing agricultural products. Through these efforts, Felda has become an important institution in transforming rural areas into more productive and developed communities. Moving on to the main objectives of Felda, the organization was established to solve several challenges faced by rural communities before its creation. Before Felda, many rural residents experienced problems such as lack of land ownership, poverty, limited employment opportunities, and poor infrastructures. Many farmers depended on unstable agricultural activities without having their own productive land. To address these issues, Felda introduced organized settlement schemes where selected settlers were provided with agricultural land, housing and support systems. This allowed them to participate in commercial agriculture and generate a more stable source of income. Apart from land ownership, Felda also aimed to create employment opportunities and provide essential facilities such as roads, schools and clinics. These developments help improve the quality of life among rural communities and reduce the development gap between rural and urban areas. Overall, Felda's main objective was not only agricultural development but also the socio-economic transformation of rural communities. Next, I will explain the development and evolution of Felda. When Felda was first established in 1956, its initial role was mainly to support and fund land development projects. During Phase 1, from 1955 to 1961, settlers were responsible for clearing land and managing farms with guidance from Felda. However, this process was challenging because transforming undeveloped land into productive agricultural areas required significant efforts and resources. Recognizing these limitations, Felda was restructured in 1961 and expanded from a financing agency into a full-scale land development authority. After this transformation, Felda gained greater responsibility in planning, developing, and managing settlement schemes throughout Malaysia. Over the years, Felda developed from a simple land resettlement program into a wider rural development model involving agriculture, human capital development, and agro-based industries. Today, Felda is recognized as an important example of rural transformation and poverty eradication throughout planned development.
I will explain about the strategy of Felda in Malaysian rural economic development. The first strategy is poverty eradication and rural development. Felda implemented a land resettlement program to reduce poverty among landless and low-income rural community. Through this initiative, settlers were provided with agricultural land, housing and stable employment opportunities. They were encouraged to shift from subsistence farming to cash crop cultivation such as oil palm and rubber, which offered more sustainable income. In addition, basic infrastructure such as roads, electricity, water supply, schools and healthcare facilities were developed, significantly improving living standard and access to essential services. Another key strategy was the transformation of rural areas through the conversion of undeveloped land into organized agricultural estates under Felda supervision. With modern plantation management and technical support, agricultural productivity increased, turning rural settlement into more productive economic areas. This also helped strengthen socio-economic integration and community development within the settlement. Overall, Felda continued to support rural community through income diversification and community development programs. This initiative focused on improving long-term well-being, increasing financial stability, and ensuring sustainable poverty reduction beyond agriculture. The second strategy is Felda implemented agricultural expansion by developing large-scale oil palm and rubber plantation on undeveloped rural land. This transformed rural areas into productive agricultural estates and allow rural communities to actively participate in commercial agriculture. As a result, settlers were provided with stable employment and more sustainable income opportunities, while also contributing to Malaysia's overall agricultural output and national economic growth. In addition, Felda introduced modern plantation management system and technical support to improve productivity and efficiency in agricultural activities. This development helped strengthen plantation-based rural economic communities and also supported the growth of related sectors such as transportation, processing, and trade. To ensure long-term sustainability, Felda also emphasized sustainable farming practices such as good agricultural practices, GAP. This improved crop yield and quality while ensuring the long-term productivity of plantation, ultimately supporting both income improvement and sustainable rural development. The third strategy is improving workforce. Felda focuses on improving workforce quality through human capital development. Various education, training, and community development programs were introduced to enhance the knowledge, skills, and productivity of settlers and rural communities. This initiative also prepared them to adapt to modern agricultural and economic changes. In addition, Felda provided educational support such as financial aid and tuition program to help rural youth, encouraging self-development and better socio-economic mobility. Besides that, Felda also emphasized vocational education and technical training, especially in agricultural tools and machinery. This helped transform the rural workforce from manual farming into a more skilled and knowledgeable community. Community empowerment programs were also introduced to develop leadership skills and increase participation in rural development activities. Overall, Felda strengthened workforce development through entrepreneurship training and small business support programs. This initiative improved living standard, financial stability, and long-term productivity while also enhancing rural socio-economic development. Lastly, Felda's industrialization strategy transformed rural development from traditional agriculture into a large-scale agribusiness system. Plantation activities were integrated with industrial and commercial operation through the development of agribusiness complex and processing facilities. This shifted rural economies from subsistence farming to a more structured and industrialized system, while also creating rural economic centers that supported employment and growth. In addition, Felda expanded downstream activities in the palm oil and rubber industries. This include value-added processes such as processing, logistics, and agro-based entrepreneurship. These activities reduce dependence on primary agriculture and increase income opportunities for rural communities. At the same time, modern technology, mechanization, and smart plantation systems were introduced to improve productivity and efficiency. Furthermore, Felda encouraged SMEs and agro-based entrepreneurship among settlers, along with collaboration with the private sector. The development of infrastructure such as processing plants and transport network further strengthened rural economic activities. Overall, this industrialization strategy successfully modernized the agricultural sector and created more diversified and sustainable income sources for rural communities.
One major challenge faced by Felda is its dependence on commodity prices, especially palm oil and rubber. Most Felda settlers earn their income through the sale of palm oil. Therefore, when global palm oil prices increase, settlers enjoy higher income. However, when prices fall, their earnings decrease significantly. The problem is that commodity prices are highly unpredictable because they are influenced by global demand, international trade, and economic conditions. For instance, during periods of declining palm oil prices, many settlers struggle to cover household expenses because they rely heavily on plantation income. As a result, dependence on a single commodity sector creates economic instability and makes rural development less sustainable. Therefore, Felda should diversify its economic activities to reduce reliance on palm oil and create more stable income sources. Another major challenge is the aging population of Felda settlers and the migration of young people to urban areas. Many settlers are elderly and no longer have the physical strength required for plantation work. This affects productivity and plantation management. At the same time, younger generations prefer to migrate to cities such as Kuala Lumpur in search of better job opportunities, higher salaries, and a more modern lifestyle. Many young people also perceive agricultural agricultural work as physically demanding and less attractive compared to professional careers. As more youth leave rural areas, fewer people remain to manage Felda plantations. This creates labor shortage and threatens the long-term sustainability of Felda settlements. Without active youth participation, Felda may face difficulties maintaining productivity and ensuring the continuity of rural economic development.
Continuing with the challenges faced by Felda in Malaysia's rural economic development, we will now look at the debt and financial issues faced by the Felda settlers. The accumulation of debt remains one of the most persistent challenges in rural economic development. While Felda was established to eradicate poverty, settlers are highly dependent on institutional loans. This issue intensifies during the replanting cycles. Because oil palms have an optimal economic lifespan of 20 to 25 years, declining productivity makes regular replanting essential. However, this process requires substantial capital and results in a 3 to 4 year waiting period before new trees yield fruit. To sustain themselves during this zero-income gap, settlers must take out secondary loans, leading to a cycle of intergenerational debt. This financial strain is further compounded by income instability and limited financial literacy. As palm oil is an internationally traded commodity, settlers' incomes are highly vulnerable to global market shocks. Furthermore, a lack of training in cash flow management and long-term budgeting means that households are often left exposed when commodity prices fall. Finally, these household struggles are worsened by institutional financial management issues, governance and transparency crisis within Felda Global Ventures or FGV diverted critical capital away from Felda primary welfare goals. Historically, plantation profits subsidized replanting and infrastructure. Due to corporate losses, Felda's capacity to support agricultural technology and income diversification programs has been severely reduced, stalling economic mobility in these rural areas. Next is the low productivity and sustainability challenges faced by Felda. The Felda plantations currently face a critical bottleneck caused by crop senescence or aging crops, which result in sharply declining yields. The peak period for fresh fruit bunch extraction is between 9 and 18 years. Because of many of Felda's trees now exceed the 28 to 25-year economic threshold, overall agricultural efficiency has dropped. While extensive replanting is required, smallholders frequently delay the process due to high clearing costs and the temporary loss of income. This decline is accelerated by the slow adoption of modern agricultural practices. Due to capital constraints and inadequate training, settlers remain hesitant to adopt advanced technologies such as mechanized harvesting and drone-assisted fertilization. Without modern agronomic support, traditional methods fail to maximize land use or effectively mitigate devastating crop diseases such as the Ganoderma basal stem rot. Lastly, smallholders are pressured by shifting global market demands. To access regulated international markets, settlers must comply with sustainability frameworks like the Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil and Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil certifications. Achieving these certifications requires complex reporting, regular audits, and infrastructure upgrades, which significantly increases operational costs. These compliance costs occur alongside intense global competition from countries like Indonesia, which benefits from younger plantations and lower labor costs. Together, aging crops, technological lag, and costly environmental compliance compress the profit margins of Felda settlers and threaten long-term rural economic transformation.
Since the 1950 and 1960, land settlement programs have been a cornerstone of rural development in many developing countries. And in Malaysia, one of the instruments of change is by establishing the Federal Land Development Authority, Felda. In 1954, World Bank suggests for the Malay state to give attention to the land development. Felda was created in 1956, mainly to reduce rural poverty by giving land to poor people, especially for the farmers, to earn stable income. Before Felda exists, many rural people did not own any land. They worked for others, but they still poor. And after the establishment of Felda, Felda gave them land, jobs, and support. So many families move out of poverty and live better. The effectiveness of Felda program varied significantly across settlement. We can see here where the Felda Economic Review 2023 reported that Felda Uluturbau recorded an average income increase of 55% between 2025 and 2023. Meanwhile, the Felda Entrepreneurship Report 2023 stated that more 200 entrepreneurs were created in Lokhang since 2015, generating an annual business value of over 50 million ringgit. This scheme is considered as a huge success, which has contributed to reducing the poverty rate of the country today. The second achievement of Felda is they create job opportunities. Development happened in rural area, mostly dependent on natural resources such as agriculture, forestry, fishery, and local tourism. However, they still facing a lot of problems such as low income and unemployment. Before the establishment of Felda, government already gave the concern for rural development, but the poverty still happened and lack of unemployment. And when Felda was established, it helps the community that live in rural areas to live a better life. Furthermore, Felda has open plantation like palm and rubber. This create many jobs for people in village, so they didn't need to move to city to find job. Land allocation by Felda allows settlers to participate in plantation-based agriculture, particularly oil palm and rubber, thereby creating employment opportunities and providing a stable income for rural households. The availability of employment opportunities motivate people to stay in rural area instead of moving to city to search for better job. Moreover, Felda successfully rehabilitated and support more than 150,000 families through the land development program, and at the end of 1951, Felda has already developed 308 land schemes covering over 1.4 million acres where it gives benefit to over 400,000 people in rural area. The other achievement of Felda is diversification of employment. Felda not only create employment in agriculture, but also help diversify employment in rural area. Before the establishment of Felda, many rural communities depended mainly on farming and had limited job opportunities. Most villagers earn unstable income because economic activities in rural areas were not developed. Through the development program, people that live in rural areas were introduced to various types of employment. For example, they can work in factory, transportation service, and small business. Besides that, Felda actually also provides skill training and technical support to improve the abilities of settlers in different sectors. Younger generation of Felda settlement were encouraged to participate in education, technical training, and business programs that prepare them for employment outside of agriculture sector. As a result, many second-generation Felda settlers become teachers, engineers, and professionals in various industries. Overall, Felda play a very important role in diversifying employment opportunities in rural areas through agriculture, business development, entrepreneurship, and skill training. This effort helped create a more stable and sustainable rural economy in Malaysia. In other words, this reduced the dependency on a single source of income and allowed rural communities to re-involve in different economic sectors. One other achievement in rural economic development is building Malaysia's agro-based industry, especially palm oil from a rural farming program into a national and global economic sector. Felda contributed to Malaysia becoming one of the world's largest palm oil producer by expanding oil palm plantation, linking the settlers to processing mills, and integrating agriculture with industry. This strengthened Malaysia's agro-based economy at national level. The growth of palm oil industry encouraged the growth of related economic sectors like transportation service and marketing activities. This created wider network that support rural economic development. Moreover, this improvement helped rural communities enjoy a better quality of life and reduce the development gap between rural and urban areas. Furthermore, this creates wider economic network that support further contribution to the agro-based industry, also increase export earnings for Malaysia and strengthen the country's position in the global agricultural market. Overall, Felda played an important role in transforming rural areas into productive economic centers through the development of the palm oil industry.
In conclusion, Felda has played a significant role in Malaysia's rural economic development since its establishment in 1956. Through land development and settlement programs, Felda successfully helped reduce rural poverty by providing land ownership, employment opportunities, infrastructure, and economic support to settlers. It also contributed to Malaysia's agricultural growth, especially through the development of the palm oil and rubber industries. Besides improving rural income, Felda also encouraged workforce development, entrepreneurship, and economic diversification, which helped transform many rural settlements into productive economic centers. However, Felda still faces several challenges, including dependence on commodity prices, aging settlers, youth migration, financial issues, and sustainability concerns. Therefore, continuous improvement through innovation, modern technology, better governance, and youth participation is important for Felda's future development. Overall, Felda remains an important organization in supporting inclusive and sustainable rural development in Malaysia. Thank you.